What's up, Blizzard Arena? It's Thursday. Make some noise. We're going to practice clapping together today because we are tiny, but we are mighty, and we're bringing you all kinds of action. Speaking of small people, we've got my favorite Peaky Blinder, young Brenji, here on the desk alongside the great Crumb.
That's exactly what it was. I was trying to figure out what his new haircut
Peaky
reminded
Blinders,
me of.
right?
That's the one thing.
Peaky
It looks
Blinders.
suave, man, so it's a compliment.
From Netflix to the Overwatch League, you
Of
made
course.
the transition quite well, Brent. Let's talk about the big picture here as we start the day. As you look at the overall standings, you can see there's been a bit of a shakeup at the top. Seoul Dynasty comes in today as our official number 2.
Yeah, they've overtaken London quite significantly. Still only by 1 win and map differential. London's still leading in that aspect, so going to be looking for opportunities to even it out today.
And all the way from 2nd to 9th, there's actually only 2 losses differential.
As you look at the Stage 3 standings, though, some interesting numbers here. Los Angeles Valiant leading the charge at 12-0 when it comes to the map count. Some big names like New York and Boston right behind them.
Yeah. It's impressive that they're 3-0 on this one because that plus 12 is going to make a world of difference. Obviously, New York can still catch up with a 4-0 today, but that would mean that number 1 and number 2 are so far ahead.
One of the things you might have noticed there is that both London and Florida were sitting at 0-2. Today, one of these squads is getting their first win in Stage 3, but I know a lot of people are pumped up. Make some noise if you want to see Philadelphia Fusion versus the Houston Outlaws a little bit later today. Yeah, some pumped up people. But right now, we're getting it started with the big name matchup. You got number 4 in the Boston Uprising taking on the number 1 in the New York XL. Boston, they've won 6 matches straight. New York on an 11-match win streak. But today, the Uprising are missing a key component. Dream Casper has been released from the team. They need someone else to fill that starting DPS role.
And we get to see really how big of a void he was filling into the squad because he was not only the shot caller, he was not only one of the star DPS, one of the best Western DPS in the league, but on top of that, his flexibility, I think, really allowed Boston to have a multitude of styles to every single map. And now, we don't have a lot of practice on whoever's going to replace him.
Well, I mean, thankfully, Crumbs, they're not going to be left high and dry. They do have mistakes in the lineup, and this is a guy who we've seen bits and bobs of, to be honest, as the season's
Bits and
gone.
bobs?
Bits and bobs, you know. He's been playing the Sombra. He was known, actually, back in the day. I mean, a couple of you guys at home who've been watching Overwatch since the beginning might know of this, but he played on a team called 123 back in Contenders Season 0, and he was a very good Tracer player back then, and obviously, those kind of skills translate very nicely onto a whole load of different heroes, including Widowmaker, which is something we haven't seen him play, but it's something that I've heard from pro players is very formidable. But the one thing I'm paying attention to is his Sombra. And looking at this is actually the league average across the board. You can see we're now entering this Sombra meta game. So it's 25, almost 25% of games being played now contain that one hero, which is going to help them out tremendously, given the fact that they've been putting mistakes onto this specialist Sombra role.
Now, we have seen Striker mixing up his hero pool as the other DPS player on this Boston squad. Do you ever see a situation where you move Striker off of the Tracer and mistakes back to his former star player, the Tracer?
I mean, we could. Honestly, I feel like you definitely could, right? Because of the variety of different compositions you can run, it helps to have 2 of Tracer main players.
What will likely happen is somebody's going to have to play the Junkrat, and then eventually whoever's playing the Tracer, say Mistakes is playing the Tracer at the time, then it would just not make sense to swap and lose out on many ultimates, so you keep Striker away from the Tracer, and you keep Mistakes on the Tracer.
All right, so we'll see what Boston does in the DPS roles today. One thing we know for sure, though, is they are going up against some of the toughest DPS in the game. New York XL comes into this match with just 2 match losses in the entirety of the regular season. They've dominated their way through Stage 2. They're perfect so far here in Stage 3. What are we expecting from our number 1 team?
Oh, but they keep getting better, Puckett, because when these teams are so far above the rest, I mean, there's 5 losses separating first and second. What they're doing now is that they're trying to expand themselves and make sure that they stay ahead of the competition. They're integrating Pine. We got to see him back in the lineup, but by having him be in this squad, it means that they're going to have more versatility. Exactly, Big Boss Pine. This is actually the bloodthirstiest DPS in the league. He is always getting kills in ridiculous places, and if he is able to contain his wild style, it'll add more dimensions to the New York style, which already people struggle with countering.
Yeah, I mean, Pine is definitely going to be probably the most fun player, I think, to watch in the Overwatch League so far, right? He's just got such an electric style, right? He's popping off across the map. You know when he gets subbed in that he's going to be putting in work, and that's what I love most as well, because it's that impact, right? As soon as he sees the substitutions being made and Pine suddenly in the lineup, it's like, Oh boy, okay, what have we got ourselves into? Like, you want to shut this guy down.
If Pine's in the lineup, check your corners because there's a good chance he's behind you. Enough talking from us. Are you guys ready to start the day? Make some noise as we welcome our first team to the stage. Let's hear it for the Boston Uprising. Mistakes leading the charge today. So pumped to see what he brings to this lineup. Also, keep your eyes on the diva today. Dream Casper, a shot caller. That is going to open up a void for this team. Noda's got to step in and help the team's comms.
And speaking of opening up, I think this is a golden opportunity for mistakes, really. The fact that the guy that was already at the lead of the squad now is no longer there means that you, as kind of substitute, have the time to step in and really show us what you got. If he can deliver today, it'll be like nothing happened to Boston.
In general, I'm looking forward to basically individual play, right? Because when you start to have that void filled into the team and you're basically in a bit of an uncertain situation, you need to rely on those core fundamental mechanics at the end of the day. And this is a squad that we know have that in spades, realistically, right? We've seen it in a multitude of their games. Realistically, their strongest attribute has always been their teamwork, but we know that they can turn up individually as a team as it comes out. I mean, I gotta say as well, Boston, they have been one of my favorite teams to watch. You know, I underestimated them at the start of the stage.
Everyone did.
Everyone did, right? Everyone was expecting this team to start out as the lowest team, as the, the 12th seed, but they've come in and they have absolutely upset everyone.
If you're going to go through some growing pains, now may be the perfect time because you're not expected to take down our next team. It's time to introduce the best squad in the league as we bring out the New York XL. There we go, Art. Smiles there, high fives with the fans, showing some love to the New York crowd. A lot of supporters out here in Los Angeles, and of course, you got the Deadly Venoms watching back in New York City with every single show.
Well, it's cool that this team not only is it packed with talent, they're also making their moves when it comes to showcasing their personalities, keeping up with letting us know who they are. And this man right here on your screen, Libero, is the one that I'd say is a silent killer for this squad. So much flexibility, and on this first map, Volskaya, the team really relies on communication to let him know about the Widowmaker angles that he can go for to take on the squad.
What do you want to see our Stage 2 MVP Libero playing today? What hero?
Widowmaker on Volskaya, absolutely. I gotta see what goes on against Boston's Widowmaker, that now we don't know who's gonna be running it. Maybe it's obviously mistakes, but maybe Striker will give it a shot.
I mean, for me personally, I'm just always excited to watch New York Excelsior play, and that's mainly because these guys are the best team in the league right now, without a shadow of a doubt, and I think they really do bring the best out of any team they play. All of their opponents know that they have to step up their game, so we really just see the best quality Overwatch whenever New York are playing.
And of course, we always talk about their amazing supports, the incredible DPS. Mono, Meko, and Jonas, the tanks, deserve so much love as well. One of the most well-rounded squads in the game today. We have our 12 players on the stage. The match is moments away. Make some noise as we send it over to our casters. For today's games, we got Monty and Doa on the mic.
Hey guys, what is up? Welcome to another wonderful day of Overwatch League. We're going to get things started, as the desk has been talking about just a wee bit. Boston Uprising versus New York Excelsior. What, you've never heard me say wee bit before? I say that all the time.
He's just getting his Scottish nature back
Just
in,
a little
integrating
bit.
it.
A little. Well, I'm a quarter Irish, which isn't really the same thing at all. But do they say wee bit over in Ireland? I don't know. Irish people and Scottish people hate me now. But that's okay, because you know what? At this time in Europe, they might not be watching anyway. Thank you, Monty. I knew that years ago, though. And yet here we are. We're going to Volskaya Industries first, guys. The first battleground between Boston and New York. And as we go in to Volskaya as well, you wanted to take a moment and talk a little bit about New York's defense on this map.
Yeah, and this is how Florida exploited it last time. Take a look at Tavik and Logix on your screen right now. Notice how Logix is going to play the low ground on the Widowmaker, and he is looking for shots. He's going to hide behind the bunker and continue to change his position. Meanwhile, Tavik is going to be guarding him that entire time. They know where Libero is, so it's just a matter of making Libero peek. Savielby continues to try and get information around the side, but he's going to get repeatedly pushed out and find finally you see the shot come onto Libero.
Yeah.
They didn't have the information. Now watch the follow-up. Swoosh and Manitin will go onto Libero's body to make sure that he's not going to get resurrected by Arc, and they catch Jonak on the far side of the point. So oftentimes when you're playing with this Widowmaker on attack, you're going to see teams try and hide their Widow on the low ground and make very rapid rotations while protecting it with a Tracer so that you can eventually get that shot. So we'll see if New York is going to play the Widowmaker on the far side of the point, because it did limit Libero's movement last time and led to a pretty fast cap, even though it was a sort of patient push by the Mayhem.
You know, I wonder here, because again, there's a lot of questions, of course, about Boston coming into this one. You know, losing Dreamcasper this week, now Mistakes has to step up, fill this pretty big hole that's been left in not only hero pool, but also just strategically shot calling like the desk talked about. It's going to be tough for Boston. We'll see what they can do. Arc doing a bit of dance to invoke the support spirits somewhere out there, perhaps.
And it does look like Mistakes is going to be the player on the Widowmaker. So far in Overwatch League, he has had limited time, but Sombra, Genji, and Soldier are the only heroes he's played for more than 10 minutes.
Right, in that order as far as playtime goes. A lot of Sombra, a little bit of Genji. Here comes Boston, though. Mistakes is on that Widowmaker. Dodge a shot narrow there. Libero took one from the high ground early on, and just like you said, Monty, they're going to try to keep him on the low ground, try to do what Florida did. Yeah, and find Libero caught out.
Yes, and Libero is on the opposite side. So Mistake's going to rotate over here. He's going to find Jonas. Jonas is looking to see if he can get a catch right there. Mistake's all by himself, so takes a good chunk of damage.
It's not who you want to find if you're Widowmaker. That is the opposite of who you want to find. Ooh, gets a shot on a Jonak. A little bit of damage done to the Zenyatta. Oh, takes one though from Libero. Has to be careful, gets a bit of healing here. Now it's a sniper battle, but Jonak's joining in, and now the dive comes in from Jonas. Mistakes, distracted again a little bit. So far, New York handling it.
And New York's not going to go off the point. Basically, they just want to control the open ground on the point and use Jonak and Libero's accuracy to get the pick. So they're not going to be diving in here. That's not the purpose of this composition. They're just playing a zone defense game right now.
Striker's got to put on some pressure himself if they want to create more room for Mistakes to do work. Sabielby takes a little bit of damage, gets out the blink. Now Janus having to leap back to his team here.
And he jumps up on top of the Widow. So Janus's job has been to control the enemy Widowmaker this entire time. And the Widow hasn't had a lot of support.
Here we go. Oh, it's
That's
a
great stick.
Wow, onto Arc. Striker, what a throw to start this attack with. And they get Janus as well. Note finishes off Sabielby, and that was definitive from Boston Uprising coming in here. Meko just trying to buy as much time as he can for his team to reset onto point B, but you think that's going to be point A, huh?
And that's how you play the patient game. That's what we saw Florida do. This time they charge up that pulse bomb, use Striker's accuracy to kill the most important hero, because you have to kill that Mercy, otherwise she may get a resurrection in unless you double down with your tanks like what we saw Florida do. But they do make it easy there, just a matter of working up to that ultimate. Now that said, Libero is going to switch over to the Junkrat now, and they do have a lot of ultimates. So New York also gained a lot of charge.
Yeah, with 5 ults rather, you'd think they should be able to get some sort of defensive stability here. Janus has to leap back to his team. Oh, and Mistakes takes him down. That swap to the McCree already paying off big time for Boston. They have an opportunity to come in here, but they have to do it slow. See how many ults they can force out of New York as they push their way forward.
They're trying to come in right now. Primal Rage has been popped for Gomp, so he's going to take out Libero, and that's going to force Jonak for the Transcendence.
Yeah, Transcendence comes in, and that's going to not prevent Meko from getting demeched anyway. Sabi will be down again. Note, taking him out with the charge here. Mistakes with the Deadeye finds Meko out of the mech. Ironically, I suppose. Janus has to back away too. He's got like no health left, and Boston with a ton of momentum coming into point B here.
Libero staying on the Junkrat for now. The re-engagement coming through. Jonas is here.
All the ults are gone for New York. They used everything and they couldn't push Boston back. This Riptire has to be huge for Libero.
He's gonna get a D-mech, so that's all right. Something. But I don't know if they're going to be able to save this. They're sitting there at 86% right now, and the kills keep coming through for Boston.
And Neko's popping off right now. That's 2 kills for him, and that's going to be 4:42 on the clock left over for Boston. Pretty insane attack round here on Volskaya.
Definitely good for the Uprising. Remember, they are undefeated on Volskaya coming in. Before Dreamcasper was released, you could look at this map pool and say, maybe there's an upset possible here because they're 6-0 on Volskaya, and later on in this set, both of these teams are 8-1 on Ilios. So
here's Neko towards the end of that one, and this is something I don't need to tell anyone that I love to see, but I'm going to tell you anyway. I love seeing this. Great shots from Neko. Got the job done before he went down. And yeah, good start for Boston. I think that's a bit more fire than New York was expecting here.
Yeah, and that's a great start. I love the swap to McCree because what happened at the end of that push is that New York was trying to conserve their ultimate, so they attacked very far in advance of the point. Now, ideally for them, they only wanted to use the Primal Rage and save everything else, but because McCree had taken the elevator up onto the high ground, he was able to flashbang Jonas during the Primal Rage and fan the hammer to get the kill, and all of a sudden then New York, who didn't want to commit the Valkyrie, who didn't want to commit the Transcendence early, who wanted to fight off the point and try and have a little bit more, open up a little bit more space, they find themselves a player down, and Boston does a great job of exploiting that.
Wow, that lamp landed the right side up. That almost never happens. You know, whenever I start in this map, the first thing I do is shoot all the lamps with Zenyatta. It's like a good little aim practice. You run around, you jump, and you try to shoot all the lamps because you have to hit it like right on the top to knock it off.
I shoot all the banners up on the top because they half of the banner
There's
falls
no
down.
challenge in that, though.
I just like
It's a
doing
cool effect, though. Yeah. It's like when you go Bastion and just shoot the keg on...
Look, I'm a tank man for a reason, Della, okay?
I know. I understand.
I have no aim.
I understand. And I'm a Zenyatta main just because I can't accept the fact that I can't aim. So I just pretend. Just leave me that, man. Don't take that away from me.
I wasn't. This is your personal crisis.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. No, well, we're back in game, so I can avoid it again for a while. Boston Uprising on the defense. New York Excelsior with a bit of a mountain to climb here if they want to equalize. See what they can do. Libero back on the Widowmakers, you can see. On board with him right now, looking for that shot on the high ground, but I don't know if he's going to find anyone there, but it's that same attack, and we're seeing a lot of this on Volskaya right now.
Yeah, difference is that Libero has the rest of his team with him.
True.
As they're trying to play, especially those supports. And Sabielby's covering the other exit. You can see Jonas blocking off that angle right now. Gets a little bit too hot as the Tracer from the Boston Uprising moves over to contest that area.
It's hard to get hot in Volskaya Industries, man. It looks pretty cold there.
Depends on how much fire you have at you at one time.
It's true. Lightning probably warms you up a bit. And Mistakes dueling it out with Libero. Libero decides he's just going to go back towards the low ground now, see if he can outthink him a little bit. It's so many mind games in the Widow v Widow.
You can see Sabielby is up on the point opposite right now.
There we go, Mistakes. Finds a headshot on the Libero here, but New York still trying to contest. Boston more or less staying on that high ground, playing around that big health pack. Striker finds the kill on Nemeko on the outside of the fight. And it looks like New York is going to have to play it a bit cautiously for the moment anyway.
And that was a long flank that took a long time to develop. Sabielby came around the top high ground there on the opposite side and tried to team up with Jonas on his leap, but Mistakes doesn't die. Yeah. And eventually the res used on Libero with Mistakes hitting the shot. So Mistakes filling in admirably.
I mean, he's having a fantastic start already. That round and now this round so far.
Yeah, Mistakes has yet to die on Volskaya. So Gamsu and Mistakes, Striker and Note, all deathless. Oh, just three of them, sorry. Gamsu, Mistakes, and Striker with Kelix, all deathless so far.
Not bad. Not bad at all. A couple ultimates available for Boston to defend here. They've got both support ultimates now, actually. Echo picking his up as I say that. New York with quite a bit to use themselves. Haha, take that, Venom Mine. Sabielby sees it coming in. And we'll see if he can sneak around the outside, but they're keeping a pretty good beat on this guy.
They are, and their entire attack is based around either Jonas or Sabielby getting a kill or the pick from Widowmaker.
Oh, but the pick's from Jonak. It's not the Widowmaker you need to worry about. It's the Zenyatta on New York. Finds Mistakes, and now it's a 6v5. New York knows this is their opportunity. No, does find Arc, though, with the self-destruct. Pulse Bomb goes in. No kills for Sabielby. Transcendence for Uprising, just trying to keep people alive on the point right now. They do get the kill on Libero, so Boston so far so good. There goes Jonak. Sabielby having his team sort of fall around him right now. Neko drops, but Janus goes down too. So spawn advantage goes to New York, but Boston holding for just a bit longer.
And that's a fantastic read from Boston, Noah, because they use the self-destruct. Note picks up the kill onto Arc because they were going in for an engage after the pick occurred.
Right.
So Jonak hits it. Boston counter dives them just using the self-destruct from the Diva.
And see, they're creating space for the supports to kind of get back. That Guardian Angel getting Kelix in a little bit quicker.
And now Arc, of course, is going to be here with the Valkyrie. So Boston still has their work cut out for them, especially with Jonas taking out Mistakes.
That's going to be rough now. It's a 5v6. Boston, They're committed, though. They have to try to fight this, and any time they can use up on the time bank right now is pretty vital. Libero getting a little bit low, going to try to chase him down, but around the corner comes Sabielby. He's got that pulse bomb ready to go. Oh, but Neko finds him with the right click. Janus goes in. They're going to track down Neko, though. He's in big trouble. Note down as well, so New York in prime position to claim this point at the very end here. But they've only got 10 seconds left. Janus pops that Primal Rage. The cleanup is real. I don't know if they even needed that Winston ultimate per se, but it looks like they will at least claim point A. They'll have to do it in overtime, though.
And they are going to have a Transcendence, so they retain that. I agree, Joe. The Primal Rage didn't necessarily have to be used there. It might have been useful on this next point.
Oh,
Mistakes
definitely.
switches over to the Genji, and now Libero is not going to be making any changes, so wants to stay on the Widowmaker. They're going to try and get a pick and roll this point quickly with the Trance.
I mean, if you want to have any reasonable amount of time left for New York, you have to make like a big pick and snowball this into a quick point B. And you can see Boston playing it really safely, just not giving Libero any sightlines right now.
Striker's on the flank. He wants to pulse bomb these supports. He could come in from behind.
And Forsyth goes down for Libero. Boston diving in pretty aggressively. Neko dropped, so Janus, I think, jumped in the backlines and took him down. Kellex pops at Valkyrie, but they can't keep the Zenyatta alive. Neko will have Transcendence when he comes back. Kellex actually gets a res on the Zenyatta somehow. Sabiel will be backing away. But Janus kills off Kellex. Sabiel will be back in the doorway, falls via Striker. Boston doing a good job of holding that door, and New York has to back off for the moment.
Okay, so Arc working his way back up to a Valkyrie, though, so 2 support ultimates available. Boston, every time it looks like New York has an opening, it's Note and Gamsu and Striker who are in the back lines disrupting New York while they try and move forward. So tank line playing very well for the Uprising so far.
I mean, and this is great for Boston. Even if New York does finish point B, they're already going to have like half the time that Boston has in the time bank. So already a bit of a victory for Boston here on Volskaya. See if they can translate it into a map win. Libero on that Genji now, making that switch swap, trippity swap, away from the Widowmaker. That's what happens when switch and swap become one word randomly.
Swatch.
Swatch. Just swatching it away. Flipping it up, you know? Here we go. New York biding time until they've got a few more ults. Oh, Janus gets Striker, though. It's a 6v5. New York coming in. They've got a chance now to dive. Ark and Jonak in the back. Gamsu nearly with that Primal Rage. You can try to zone them out a little bit later if he wants to. New York on the point right now. It's all about the ult usage. There's a Transcendence from Neko. They start out with the Transcendence. Mistakes just waiting. Playing it cautiously, gets chased a bit by the Winston. Meanwhile, Striker recalling to get a bit more health back. Chases down Sabielby, but he's got Libero in his sights now. They push New York off the point.
There's still going to be a player down. Not though if Gamsu is going to pick up the Primal Rage kills. He's going to push off Zenyatta as well.
Yeah, that's right. Knocking 2 off the edge there. Oh, nice stick from Striker right onto Jonak. Couldn't stop him. And a minute 20 left as Boston pushes New York back again.
And New York is in desperation territory right now. They have
big time
5 ultimates, though, so it has been a slow push. They have been winning the ult economy, but they just didn't have that much time to work with because of how long their point A took. So they may be able to pull this one out, but they're not going to have a lot of time.
Yeah, again, I mean, no matter what happens, Boston's going to have way more time in the time bank, even if New York does take it. As the magic voice said, though, 60 seconds remaining for New York. It is pretty much now or never if they want to take point B and stay in this map. Oh, Sabiel will sneak up on the supports. Throws it in, doesn't get the stick, doesn't get the kill. Neko somehow stays safe. Defensive Matrix maybe did a little bit of work there. Mistakes down, though. Libero gets him with the dash. Splee backing out, trying to get the DMAC on the Note. They will get it. Libero with the Dragon Blade out. Kind of cut through that Transcendence. Full support ultimates used on the Boston side, now used on the New York side, but Ark holding onto that Valkyrie just a bit longer. Gamsu needs some healing, needs to get back to his team here. Kellex drops, mistakes, takes on Libero, and he pulls out his Dragon Blade, reflect kill onto Jonak, and he's going crazy on this Genji now. Janus gets the kill on the mistakes in the end. Janus sent back to the moon, and Boston just trying to hold just a bit longer. Gamsu with the Primal Rage may just be able to do it. 3, 2, 1, and Boston Uprising will take the first map in this series.
What a great hold from Boston, Doa.
No kidding.
Against 5 ults, they play an aggressive defense. And of course, the New England Patriots are famous for their next man up philosophy when it comes to the NFL, and mistakes definitely showing up here.
Absolutely, and not the kind of mistakes you're not happy about. This is the good kind of mistakes. Boston Uprising taking Volskaya Industries over New York Excelsior. You know, a lot of people kind of dismissed him after Dreamcasper was let go earlier this week, but I think it's looking like Boston's still a team you need to take very seriously if you know.
You do, and they go to 7-0 on the season on Volskaya too, maintaining that unbeaten streak.
All right, map 2 when we come back, guys. Don't go anywhere.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Intel, the official computer processor of the Overwatch League. T-Mobile, America's best unlimited network. And by Omen by HP, the official PC and display of the Overwatch League.
Mistakes, DPS, Boston Uprising.
Mistakes were made. Everyone getting amped up for mistakes to come in here.
My favorite hero is Anna. You really can be flexible with your playstyle and what you're doing in the game.
It's really cool what Boston is doing, though. We haven't seen mistakes all season.
Funny. I like it. Mistakes. More of that.
Before I began professional Overwatch player, I was a professional tennis player. My spirit came from tennis, that I want to compete. And that really helps me in Overwatch right now.
Mistakes couldn't have asked for a better situation. Perfect, saw the targets he was looking for.
I'm looking to compete against Philadelphia Fusion just because they got Shadowburn. Like, we are only 2 Russians in Overwatch League. My personal goals for this season is to become one of the best players, obviously. But I think teamwork is really important. And yeah, I want to be best teammate.
Mistakes cleaning up, absolutely crushing so far.
A pretty epic re-debut for Mistakes here in this match, played awesomely on Volskaya Industries areas. Hello. And Boston, one map up over New York Excelsior, and honestly, that map was not even close.
No, it wasn't, but also it is what we expect from the Boston Uprising because they have been fantastic on Volskaya. Also, as we took a look at before that first map, I do think that New York has been vulnerable, very readable in their point A defenses, which can lead to some of these snowballs occurring on point B. So that said, if you're a Boston fan, you definitely needed them to win that first map because heading into Numbani, Boston only has 2 wins here in New York. We expect them to take Numbani. Overall,
yeah, I mean, Boston, like you mentioned, 2-4 on this map. It's statistically it's their worst map in this series. So this is the one where they're going to really need to step things up a little bit. Volskaya is a great map for them. They play great, and I mean, New York is the #1 team in the league too. So I mean, even if it is a great map for you, taking a win off New York is still huge, right? But now you got to be even huger. If that's a word, we're casters.
Huger.
We can say
is a word.
anything we want. Hugerer on Numbani.
And if they can win here, they're going to be in very good shape to take this series.
Oh, yeah.
And we were wondering, exactly how Mistakes would look, especially against a top team like New York, if he would be playing the Tracer, because Striker has been flexing more onto projectile heroes like the Junkrat recently. And Mistakes was known primarily for his Tracer play before entering Overwatch League. But that said, he pretty much just took up all of Dreamcasper's heroes and played a dominant map. So it's very interesting to see that he could be potentially as flexible. I think the one big question for Boston is the thing that's put them over the top in the past has been their Pharah play. Like, they are one of the best Pharah, if not the best Pharah team in the league. So not having that flexibility may hurt them, particularly on Ilios, but possibly also on Numbani.
I mean, no doubt there's going to be moments where we're like, all right, now we're seeing how the roster change, is kind of affecting these guys, but I've not seen it yet today. Volskaya looked better than ever. And we'll see what they can do here on Numbani. They will be on attack first, as Boston is the quote-unquote away team today.
You see Libero here. Dies significantly less frequently when playing against Boston. And New York is the other team that runs Pharah the most. So in terms of Pharah playtime, it is Boston at #1, New York at #2.
It's a really interesting stat. So Boston going to be looking to try to shoot Libero out of the air a little bit more often than they have in their past meetings here as we get things started on Numbani. New York looking to tie things up. They're one map down. See what Boston can do on attack. Probably going to go for that high ground dive after a bit of poking. Some damage being put into Libero right now, but not going to do a whole lot with that diva.
Trying to deal with Jonak on the low ground right now, so it's a slow push, attempting to shove New York off. Tanks from New York still contesting the points, though.
Yeah, that's right. They're being aggressive about it. Oh, Neko and Kellex both down. What a start for New York. 2 support kills right off the bat, and Note just trying to push Libero back, but instead he's just going to go ahead and reset. Oh, man. Diva just looked like she was just in pure agony there. She's goodbye.
Straight off the map.
That was a face that says, my team! What are they doing?
Yeah, take a look at Libero here. Now, this is a defense that takes a lot of coordination because you have to cycle your tanks on the point. So what you get here is you get tons of healing. Jonak on the Ana and the Mercy, tons of healing per second. But you're vulnerable because you're not as mobile with the Ana. So, and you can't put out as much damage as Jonak does on the Zen. So you have to be very careful in the way that you position because you can't leave this Ana, vulnerable, and you also can't leave your tanks out of this line of sight. So
it's good Winston shield from Boston that denied a lot of the grenade there from Jonak. Now Janus onto the point. He's got the nano boost. Here comes the Dragon Blade though. Being pulled out by mistake. Striker finds a kill into Janus in New York. Being pushed off the point a little bit here. Self-destruct comes in from Note. And Boston trying to turn this into a point A take. They're making progress. They've nearly got it all the way already. Arc. That Valkyrie. Oh, Libero nearly down. Opportunity, and there we go. Mistakes. Helps Neko finish him off. And it looks like Boston's going to be able to grind this one out.
It does look that way. Libero is going to get resurrected, though. He still has the barrage. He's going to take out a Mercy, but into the Transcendence is not where you want that.
I mean, you trade the barrage for the Transcendence. That's not bad if you can hold the point here. But Jonak and Arc are down again. Boston Uprising making a short detour to go remove the supports from New York Excelsior. And now Note just knocking Libero out of the air. The payload will get going.
And Boston reading it that time. So you'll notice what happened is they waited for the nano boost onto the Winston. So even with the damage reduction you were getting, as long as you focus the tank that's on the point, because they're cycling those tanks, you can actually make that work. Also, they were zoned a little bit out of line of sight, so there wasn't any healing coming in onto the Winston either.
Right. Well, Boston Uprising has a few ultimates to push forward here. Mistakes nearly has another Dragon Blade. New York with a few on their side as well. And point B is usually not where you're going to stop a team. You're going to usually try to, eat up as much time off the time bank as you can, but it's really all about getting that hold on point C. In most cases on Embodied, Blade comes in again. Libero caught early with that one. Sableby drops as well. Striker looking for more targets on the outside. Mistakes trying to finish off Jonak here, but he got the help back and he's got the Mercy healing, but it's not enough. Mistakes dashing through Arc and Strikers right there to get the finishing blow. That is some great coordination from Boston. They crushed that fight.
They crushed it, though, and they don't even have to really use any ultimates besides the Dragon Blade. So they're going to be coming up on 5 to finish point B. New York in a situation where after the switches, or after the switch, I should say, of Libero and Jonak, they have to push, do a couple of eco pushes, build up that ult charge now.
Oh, that was big here. They're actually going to get the Valkyrie out of Kellex right away. And it's all about drawing the ultimates out. Libero takes a pulse bomb to the face. Striker saying, you want my ult? Here you go. Have it. Gamsu pops a Primal Rage. So Boston using basically everything, well, literally everything, to try to finish off point B. New York still on the point, though. Neko down. And this fight could turn back around here.
They did get the remech after the self-destruct. Transcendence keeping the tanks topped off for the time being.
And look at this. New York actually coming out. And at the very end of point B, they will not only draw all the ultimates out of Boston, but they will stop the payload too.
Jonas moving in early, as you say. He got the Valkyrie out of Kellex right at the start of that fight.
Yeah.
Because he scared him with the Primal Rage after jumping in. So able to hold on to their Transcendence afterwards.
And that's potentially like a round-saving move there from New York, because if you let Boston finish point B with 5 ultimates left, point C suddenly it's much more doable, much quicker.
Certainly is.
It's a big fight for New York. Striker with another pulse bomb loaded up. Oh, Neko, Sableby comes in from behind and finishes the Zen. There goes Gamsu, so Boston gonna have to regroup here.
New York changing up their tactics slightly, so that was Sableby going into the back line. Boston's been very focused on counter diving so far this match, waiting for an engage. And instead with Sableby here, we see him, let's go for the one clip on the Zenyatta.
And it worked well.
For the most part, Boston's been waiting for Jonas and Meko to go in before jumping on the New York supports. And this time they're trying to poke around the edges, try and get a flank in more effectively. And Sableby's coming back around again.
Yeah, that's right. Another stick comes in onto Meko. They do get the D-Mech there. Meko taken out by mistakes in the end. Valkyrie used by Arc. There's a Transcendence for Jonak too. They do layer the support ultimates a little bit on the New York side. And as those ults expire, the Dragon Blade is drawn. Mistakes trying to do some damage. See if he can get the D-Mech. He drew out the self-destruct at least. Meanwhile, Sableby finds the Boston Mercy in the back. And New York still going to get a lot of kills in this fight. Gamsu pops a Primal Rage at the end, but the fight is pretty much over at this point unless mistakes can get a lot more than just that kill into Sableby.
Now New York has changed their tactic. They're going after Neko. So Jonas and Sableby were in the back line, which is why they had to use the Transcendence to stall the cart. There weren't any tanks there. So the Trance was only to buy time to get the Neko kill, and then for Jonas and Sableby to come back in.
Well, here we go, Boston Uprising. They just have a little bit left to go on point B. 1-1 fight would do it. Now Janus with the Primal Rage here. New York just trying to hold. Only 5 seconds remaining for Boston. You don't see a lot of holds on point B, but New York is trying to make it happen right now. Can he keep him pushed back? Boston does touch. They do start overtime. Transcendence comes in from Neko. Now Transcendence from Jonak.
They're still fighting on the payload right now, but Jonak with the Trance is keeping Meko up. Another Dragon Blade from mistakes.
Yeah, and he needs to get a ton of kills with this if they're going to hold it. Oh, and he gets caught by the self-destruct. New York on the verge of holding right here. What a crazy result that would be for the attack, and there's not a lot of members of Boston remaining. The tanks dropping in a hurry there, and just to put the icing on the cake, the tac visor from Libero, and that is going to be a pretty staunch defense towards the end from New York.
Yeah, you can really see how their difference in tactics is affecting the Boston Uprising. So finally, New York has noticed a point of weakness, and that has been Neko disconnected from the rest of his team, and they're putting all the resources into killing him. Like we saw, they're even willing to use Transcendence just to hold the payload off from point B to buy Sabielby and Jonas more time.
Man, that round could have gone so differently. You go back to that fight where Boston had 5 ults. They were about like 2 meters away from finishing point B, and then Sabielby blinks to just barely stop the payload and give his team time to come in. They win the fight, they draw out all the ultimates, and New York just holds from there.
All right, well, we are going to see, of course, the Boston Uprising on defense now. Still a chance for them to take this map with a strong defensive effort.
Yeah, it's going to have to be a very strong defensive effort, because, I mean, you know, when I said you don't see a lot of teams get held on point B, I wasn't making that up. That's almost an impossibility in a lot of matches.
It is a rarity, for sure. And looks like mistakes will be on the Soldier 76. They will be also running the Ana, like we saw from New York, on defense.
Yep, fairly standard. Numbani defense.
Differences is usually Ana's on the high ground here, as opposed to falling way back into the low ground, because this is a high ground control defense rather than the attempt to sort of shoot from distance and control the choke points like you would see with a Pharah.
Right, you've got that Soldier instead. So, Boston Uprising needs a pretty big hold here if they want to win this map, go up 2-0 in the series. New York Excelsior have put themselves in a position to get possibly a pretty easy win here on Numbani, but it all revolves around taking point A.
Libero with the Pharah once again, and Sabielby not even opting to try and play the Tracer this time. Instead, they want to play the McCree. So this will be all about staying together as a unit and punishing any Tracers or tanks that come close to them with the flashbang.
You challenge Soldier a little bit too with that McCree. That kind of medium range fire. Prevent some of the dive. Oh, maybe you just get roasted too.
He should be able to be revived, so there it's going to come back in.
Yep, that's right. He went off the edge, but his soul stayed on the ledge. I don't know how that works. However Mercy does it.
It was actually a pretty big misplay by Jonas there. He was trying to push mistakes in the supports back, but got hit by a biotic grenade and then focused down. So have to wait for Jonas to come back after Resurrection already used, and even if it wasn't, he's in no place to be rezzed right now.
Yep. Oh, there's a shot.
Okay. They're still going to get the res down, but it is going to get some time for New York to move on to the point.
They were playing with fire, being in that position. Jonak threw a lot of those through there, so you're going to hit one of those eventually. Yamsu taken out. Note D-Mac looking pretty good for New York so far. Tac Visor trying to change that. Jonak just jumps in front of him with the Tac Visor. A little bit of blocking going on with the healing. And with the big Zenyatta waving his arms around. Mistakes. Can't shoot past that.
And that's 2 ultimates blocked just with the Transcendence. Nano Boost and Tac Visor aren't going to do anything. They can't work their way back onto the payload. And now New York has 5 minutes to get to the end of point B.
That's a problem for Boston. That is a lot of time to try to hold a point that is very difficult to hold.
Especially when you just dump 2 ults into trying to hold point A and failed. It's going to be a problem for them. They at least still have the Valkyrie. Maybe Stryker can hit a big pulse bomb, which will cause enough delay, but Sabielby's going to be able to zone them out for quite a ways with his Deadeye.
Pretty likely. Sabielby's McCree has been kind of quietly putting a lot of pressure onto Boston. And it's trying to break through the Winston shield there.
Slowly pushing up, not going to switch off any of their heroes right now. They're happy just to sit on this ult bank and get as much movement on the payload as they can.
They've got quite a bit already. Dive comes in. Sabielby backing off, holding onto that flashbang, just rolls out of the way for the moment. Note, Note's gonna get demeched. He's gonna pop the Transcendence, to try to get that mech back. Can they get him before he remechs? That doesn't look like it. Arc, though, taken out by Stryker. With that pulse bomb, Kellick's taking some shots from Sabielby, trying to equalize on both Mercies being gone, but Stryker's right there to finish off. Sabielby and New York backing away after losing Jonak as well.
Yeah, that's got great defense from the Boston Uprising. Sure, you had to use the Valkyrie, but you can still make some moves here.
Yeah, Libero sticking on that far. You've got the barrage, so not quite yet.
Yeah, I think you're going to wait on that one. You're probably not feeling too afraid of Mistakes' Soldier, given what's already happened. They do have another Nano Boost and Tac Visor available.
You've also got a lot of time, too, so you've got the opportunity, some room to sort of set up that good barrage.
Yeah, the payload keeps moving, too, so it's all about just grinding this payload out little by little. Plenty of time left. Play it slow.
Very true. Libero takes some hits. Comes around the side now. And oh, that sleep dart not connecting. Now Neko in a lot of trouble here. He's gonna go ahead and grenade himself. That means it's down. There's a barrage. Libero committing everything to killing this Ana. Meanwhile, Mistakes does get Libero. So now the transcendence from Jonak. Yep, that's gonna cover for the res there. Janice brought back up again. Mistakes still on that high ground. Boston trying to hold as best they can. They've got the nano boost onto Gamsu now. Chasing down Jonak, who's taking some damage, but Gamsu has to back away. They couldn't finish.
They couldn't finish it, but they do get Mech. However, John is still here. Libero on the Soldier 76, sprinting back into the fray.
It's a good hold for Boston.
Jonak stayed alive, though. Libero sleeping on the job.
Yeah,
can't take a nap there.
It's not a time for naps, Soldier 76. I don't care how tired you are. Well, Boston pushing New York back. 2 minutes remaining.
Good stagger at the end, too. This is quickly going back in the Uprising's favor, considering they have a Valkyrie yet again. Libero once again with the swap. He wants to challenge Mistakes. They haven't been able to put pressure on him onto the high ground. We're taking a look at Neko's point of view right now.
Yeah, that's right. Sleep dart. Oh, that was beautiful.
That's a good one.
Man, you don't expect the sleep dart from up there if you're Libero. Libero over on the Genji now, swapped off the Soldier. On board with Striker as he just pokes a little bit.
Libero's on a long flank. He really wants to get up where the two supports and the Soldier are, but he is going to be found by Striker. They know where he is.
Yeah, I mean, Striker's playing back. He's playing a very defensive Tracer right now, trying to counter the aggression here. Mistakes gets rezzed by Kelix. After getting killed, they put the nano boost onto Gamsu as well. He finds Jonak on his own. Big problem, they're going to force a Transcendence. Gamsu goes in and uses a Primal Rage. Yeah, all for all sounds reasonable. That payload getting very close to the end, though. This is a fight that Boston needs to win, and they've lost their Ana, though.
Mistakes is back up, but Jonas is there harassing him on the high ground right now. Libero trying to use this Dragon Blade to pick up the last few kills.
Gamsu's super low, but he gets out, but they need to get back onto the payload. It's so close. Nearly there, just 3 meters remaining as Boston scrambles to try to hold this one. Oh, but they lose Mistakes again. Everyone just camping on the payload at the moment. Sabubi goes around the back, gets Kelix, just walked into the back lines.
And Jonas is just harassing Neko in the back, too. He can't get a sight line to heal.
Wow,
that does it. Close, though, very close.
It really was. I mean, that was another pretty valiant effort from Boston Uprising, and the only thing crazier than seeing one hold on point B would have been to see 2 holds on point B, and they nearly made that happen. So New York edging out a win on Nimbani. They are going to tie up the series 1-1, and the series is ending up being pretty tight.
Very exciting, especially with the turmoil Boston has been through. They are showing up in a major way.
Why can I float off the ground, but I can't fly?
Always the Zenyatta quandary.
I know, right? Well, guys, we're going to take a quick break, and then Desk is going to break down those first 2 games. More Overwatch League coming at you right after this.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Omen by HP, the official PC and display of the Overwatch League. Intel, the official computer processor of the Overwatch League. And by T-Mobile, America's best unlimited network.
The Boston Uprising came out ready for a fight, but after stealing Volskaya Industries, they fall short on Numbani. This leads to a 1-1 tie at the half. Welcome to halftime, everybody. It's Puckett and the boys once again. We're here to break down the first two games, and this is already gearing up to be an amazingly close series. I don't think anyone expected Boston to come out and take that first match.
I did. They've never lost on Volskaya, straight up. They've got a 100% win rate on Volskaya. I was anticipating that they were going to be one up in this half, to be honest.
I like that you waited until after it happened to tell us you saw it coming. Crumbs, what have you thought of the gameplay that we've seen so far from the new guy, Mistakes, in the lineup?
It's been really good. I've been shocked to see them basically be unscathed with the new player here. Mistakes coming in, obviously not a new player, but he's synergizing very well when it comes to the dives with the squad. They're pulling the trigger just as quickly as they did before, and it just seems like they just slotted in one guy into the formula that was working before, and it ran to perfection against New York, rather. They only took 2 fights in Volskaya, and they stomped the point with 5 minutes left. So
it's
very
pretty impressive stuff. Let's go back to that first game, and I want to start things off here with Striker. The Tracer player, top 5 on this map across several categories. He did not slow down today.
No, he's an unstoppable beast, honestly, on the Tracer role, to be honest. It's not just this map in particular. It's across the board. This guy is ridiculous. Like, so much individual skill, so many playmaking moments in this game. He was completely leading his team to victory throughout it.
I do want to highlight what he was doing on this map specifically, and for point A, what Striker was doing was very unique. He was basically playing goalkeeper to 2 players at once. He was trying to keep Janus away from being in leap range of his supports while keeping Sapiobi also away from his team. For basically, you want to keep him away 2 to 3 blinks away. So he's making sure that the Winston and Tracer combination can't just pounce out of nowhere, that you have a lot of time to see it coming by keeping them at bay, and that stalled a lot of time.
I'm glad you mentioned that about the Sabayobi keeping him in check, because we've got a stat card as well that shows this perfectly, right? And it shows exactly what we're talking about. This was map 1, right, between Strike and Sabayobi, and really you just need to look no further than that bottom 2 statistics right there. 22 eliminations, 2 deaths on Striker compared to Sabayobi, where he's got 7 eliminations and 9 deaths. And realistically, this was the sort of playstyle that Boston were doing this map, right? They were playing it slow and steady, and because they were playing that slow playstyle, there's a lot more pressure on Sabayobi to make big plays, right? To be proactive and get the entry picks. And when he's not able to do that, and when he's being shut down, New York are a bit uncertain, right? They didn't really know what to do, so they're being very reactive with their ults. They're using their support ults in unopportune times. They're playing, making these silly mistakes like we were picking up. This is not the team that we're really expecting coming into this New York, but I feel like it is just the way Boston play, that slow poking, prodding play style really does hard counter in a way the way New York like to play.
Boston is so frustrating to play against right now, and it seems that this whole team knows exactly how far they can go and survive after a fight. You saw great heals coming in from Kelix as well as Neko, and I feel like that's the difference maker so far. Gamsu only died once, your Tracer only died twice on Volskaya. Pretty insane stuff coming in from the Boston Uprising. Now, game 2, this went back towards the New York XL. Let's take a look at some of the highlights, starting with SBB. We showed his struggles on Volskaya. Well, Numbani, not the same story, boys.
Stepped it up, didn't he? Yeah, big time. Like, this is what the team needed. They needed Sabayobi to suddenly start making a lot of plays, and Monty actually made mention to it during this game, but Sabayobi and Janus started working very well together. They recognized one of the weaknesses of Boston Uprising was the fact that Neko was unprotected in the back lines, and you'll notice a lot in these highlights. He's pretty much split up, just like moments like this where the support line is away from the front line of Boston, and New York, they just pounce straight onto that, and that's one of their biggest strengths, is the ability to just spot those weaknesses in a game and just exploit them straight up.
But that weakness barely got them the point, and that, I think, highlights how close this game was, right?
Super
They immediately recognized it. They're trying to find something back into the game, but it still came down to almost a second point hold on Numbani. You never see that.
It's been a really fun matchup so far, and we didn't ask for predictions ahead of time. Now that we're tied up at the half, I have to see, how do you guys see this one playing out in the second half? We haven't even seen the birthday boy mono in the game yet.
Yeah, we haven't actually. That's a good shout. I mean, we've been basically seeing the Janus show across the board. I mean, me personally, I actually do believe that New York are going to be taking these next 2 maps because, for one, we're going to Ilios. That's kind of Big Boss's playground, right? He likes to play around on that map. He likes to turn up big time. It's also the highest percentage win rate that New York have on a control map. map, so it's pretty good in that regard. And then we're moving into Junkertown as well, which they're not bad at. They do currently hold an above 50% win rate, so I still feel like New York are the favors, but given how close this game has been, it could honestly go either way.
Well,
So Boston
hang
Steelers,
on, no, you have the control map being the 5th map, so if you're giving the advantage to New York on control, that means that 2 out of the 3 maps you're giving New York the advantage. Being 1-1, this clearly looks like it's favored for New York, so I am going with New York.
All right, everyone's on the New York train so far. I still believe in Boston. The uprising, the upset. Will it be the 3rd loss for the New York XL? Probably not, but we'll see how this one plays out. That's going to do it for halftime, but quick reminder, if you guys want to come see the Overwatch League, like Mama Note, make sure you go to AXS.com and come watch the boys live. We are live from the Blizzard Arena Wednesday through Saturday. That's going to do it for halftime. When we come back, though, it's a big Game 3, all tied up between Boston as well as New York XL. You don't want to miss Ilios on the other side of this break.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Toyota. Let's go places.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It's been a close one so far as we are all tied up in this matchup between the Boston Uprising and NYXL 1-1. Now, you guys have been hearing me all week talk about the Twitch All Access Pass. It's really cool. It gives you a more enhanced viewing experience for those who are watching at home. And actually, on Saturday here at the arena, we're going to be doing something real cool. It's going to be Twitch Day. So here at the arena, we're going to be celebrating, handing out all types of swags. And people at home, there's going to be some cool stuff that we're going to be talking about, like in-game content. We have this cool thing called the Command Center where you can get more perspectives of the arena, all kinds of cool stuff. So guys, remember, check out that Twitch All Access Pass. It's absolutely free for the entirety of Stage 3. You're definitely going to want to check that out. But guys, we had ourselves a close one. We got one more half to go in this matchup. So let's go ahead and get back into the action with our casters, Monty and Doa.
Thank you, Malik. Welcome back, guys. All tied up, are we? Boston versus New York, 1-1.
We are, but we also need to hold Mr. Brennan Hook on the desk accountable for something because
Get him on the hook.
Yeah, get him on the hook. Get the hook on the hook because we have this issue where he said, of course, in hindsight, Volskaya. Oh yeah, I knew Boston was going to win that, even though Mr. Hook. NYXL was 6-1, so they only had a 1-loss difference. But you know what? After you said that, nobody ever said who is going to win the remaining maps in this series.
Listen, Monty, don't question the Oracle, all right? Listen,
All right.
you come to me, you're in my domain.
What if
Go to the
I'm
desk
the-
if you're going to come at me, all right?
the puppet
hindsight oracle. The hindsight oracle. Truly.
Don't question the Oracle.
respect.
Listen, when I make claims and they come true, well, that's just the way it is, okay?
So, mighty oracle, who's
Yes.
going to win the last 2 maps here?
The last 2 maps, I believe it's going to be New York Excelsior.
Both of them. So
Both
Ilias
of them.
and
That's what I
Junkertown
said on
going
the
to New
desk.
York,
Were you
all right?
listening?
That's nice.
No, that's not what you
nice,
said at
Brad.
all.
That's what I said on the desk.
But I'll back you up. I think that everything he says makes sense.
Thank you.
I would
analysis.
I would never say that everything Brennan says makes sense. That is definitely not a claim I would make, but
nice haircut. Nice haircut, buddy. Well, guys, we have got some subs actually coming in for our next map. It's going to be Ilios. Going to be cool. New York actually making quite a few changes here.
yeah, they are. First, though, let's take a look at a replay because
Let's do that instead. Yeah,
I
much
would
better.
really like to show how New York. Bren was talking about it on the desk. One of the great things that Bren said was talking about how they changed their tactics. And what I want people to watch here is watch how Jonas and Sabielby are going after Neko. And the response to this is while they're going after Neko, Jonak has to use his trance on the point just to keep the cart from moving and to allow the resurrection onto Meko before Jonas and Sabielby come back. So that was the big change there. It's hard to see because we had 2 people very far back in the back lines while we were watching the payload. But this is the big adjustment that New York made, so we can take a look and see if they're going to continue to pursue Neko for the rest of the map.
Well, they're adjusting their roster at least. Mono coming in for Jonas, making a swap in the tank department, and it's going to be Anamo making his debut here.
Yeah, Anamo coming in for Arc.
Anamo.
This is interesting because Arc has such a depth of healing duties.
We know that guy. It's Pine. He's back.
Pine.
The map that made him a legend. Well, he's the one who made himself a legend, but the map helped.
And
Staying hydrated is important.
speaking of being a legend on Ilios, New York is still 8-1. Both teams are 8-1. However,
Yeah.
the big difference for Boston was that it was the Pharah that really made Boston excellent on Ilios, and we'll have to see if they are going to run that at all, if they're going to change their tactics, because a lot of their tactics mistakes has slotted in nicely so far, but this is one that I think is going to be a bit more challenging.
Speaking of challenging, my worst nightmare has come true. New York has put both Mono and Amano in the game.
Animo.
Mono and Animo in the game at the same time. Mananimo. Phenomenal. Yes.
Yeah, it's getting to
challenge for all of
children's
us.
songs level of
It is.
gobbledygook. And
I always knew my casting would get there sometime. Here we go. We're going to start things off. It looks like on Ruins, from what we can see on our side. And this is going to be a really interesting map because if Boston wins this one, then I feel like we're in for a Game 5. So we will see.
Yeah, they at least they're starting on Ruins, which I think is the less disruptive point for the typical strategies that we see Boston run, because they can go back to having mistakes on the Widowmaker, which he did a great job with on Volskaya. And New York is going to go back to the standard, and Animo will be on the Lucio to kick things off.
Yeah. It's weird not to see Ark in there. We'll see how Anamo performs here as we get things started. Boston Uprising and Anamo just doing the speed boost, swapping over to the Mercy as we get things going here on Ruins. Pine back on that Widowmaker again. Gonna duel with Mistakes. They see each other. The duel begins. Mistakes waiting. Who's gonna peek? Pine just backing off. He's gonna reposition, look for a couple other shots here before he goes back to it.
Yeah, Boston already has taken over the point, though, so now New York has to push back in.
Yeah, pretty much. And they're going to do that right now. As the point unlocks, Boston taking a little bit. New York not contesting just yet. Now they jump down in.
It's just a fight in the pit right now.
A Note pushing. Sable will be back just a little bit. Jonak taking the high ground there. Not really opposed. They're going to get the D-Mech on the Note as well. So Boston down a tank to start things off. It's 6v5. Pine has the Discord Ornatomy. Needs to be pretty careful here. Namo goes down, mistakes, finds a kill. Onto the Mercy, Sableby gets in the back lines, and it looks like New York will end up claiming the point in the end.
Yeah, we saw a lot of that from Pine's perspective, and you can see how he's sort of inching closer, which is cutting off Mistake's sightlines little by little as the tank line pushes forward in the pit. So pretty deliberate attack there, slow move into the low ground, and they make it work. So SayBLB also focusing the tanks, better target selection in the rumble in the pit, which sees New York coming out on top. And now SayBLB will be searching for a pulse bomb.
Whoa, Pine finds mistakes though. Another 65 right off the back. There goes Neko. SayBLB getting in the back lines, putting some bullets into Note. He's gonna find Gamsu as well. The pulse bomb doesn't connect, but he gets out with a recall at least. Either way, New York holding the point for the moment. Meko finds mistakes now. And this Widowmaker has not been working out super great for Boston just yet.
Not yet, but New York is doing a great job of punishing. So even though there was a chance for the resurrection to come through, it did cause the Mercy to reposition, which meant that the low ground didn't have any healing on it. So that's when New York strikes, starts killing some tanks.
Now Kelix get the res. Mono just goes ahead and uses Primal Rage to get back to the point. Pine flying high, looking for the shots, doesn't find the one on the strike he was looking for. Now the Valkyrie comes in from Kelix. Boston getting aggressive here. They've got Gamsu with the Primal Rage, just trying to zone Pine out as best he can. Heading back to the point now. Pulse Bomb goes in. No kills with that one. Note finds the kill on Mono. And there's a transcendence from New York to cover Animo as he gets a res onto the Winston. New York still holding the point for the moment. Now that Mistakes is going down, the pressure goes back onto Boston, and it looks like it's going to be another hold.
Mono's gonna fall, so now with Mistakes coming back up, there may be an opportunity for Boston to retake right here, especially as Animo falls.
Yep, that should be it. Yeah, Mistakes finds the kill onto Jonak, and it's gonna get flipped probably just around at 99%. See how long they can hold it. Looks like it'll get flipped now, but New York can take it easy. They used a lot of ults in that last fight, and things went wrong, but they have plenty of time now to build up some more and come back and take it.
And they have the Infrasight up for them as well, so especially with that coming in. Pine gets that without the Infrasight, so huge advantage.
Yeah, res comes in onto Mistakes anyway.
But there's no res for Neko now, so 2 kills to Pine already.
Yep, that's right, make that 3 as he finds Mistakes again. See if he'll be waiting until he gets a bit of health back. Pulse Bomb's still loaded up. It's gonna be self-destruct coming in for Note. Gets taken out before he remexes though. And SayBLB doesn't really even need to do a whole lot. His team kind of taking care of things for him. Jonak with 2 there. They're going to flip it back right away, and that's just probably going to be the first point here. Yeah, New York only gives up 33% to Boston before retaking it and getting a point on the board here on Ilios.
What I love about New York is that Pine didn't use the Infrasight throughout that entire fight because it was about just holding the point until 99.
Yeah.
And then he comes in and he gets this kill right here. Saves the Infrasight to punish people so they can't peek while his tanks contest the point. So this ultimate is so impactful at times, and that is a great example of holding on to it and then covering your tank line at the same time. Very nice work by Pine. He doesn't die at all.
Well, New York just looked really comfortable on that round. Yeah, they never really, I mean, they gave up the point once, but they never really felt like they were under a whole lot of pressure.
And they weren't.
They can do on Lighthouse.
And this is where we might see the lack of the Pharah start to hurt Boston. The other 2 points of Ilios have been dominated by Boston's Pharah play, but it looks like they don't have that option. They're going to play the Tracer Sombra instead, and with Pine on McCree, that is going to be a real trick.
Well, this is the point where you need to adapt if you're Boston, right? And we talked about how that Sombra Tracer could become more prominent for these guys as the season goes forward. Mistakes on that Sombra. It's going to be New York trying to get the point first. Boston contesting a little bit. With Striker, they're going to start filling it up for themselves. They've got a lot of pressure on New York. New York back in that room. They're kind of bottled up right now, and they need to break out here.
Trying to play the point. They want to play the low-range game where they cap it and then force New York to come back in.
Oh, Mistakes got a big kill onto Jonak there, too, so that helped Boston take it, but New York trying to grind it back. Animo gets the res onto Jonak anyway. Pine run over, though. That's going to cause the DMEC, though, eventually from Note. And New York's going to come out ahead in the end. Should be able to flip this point back here.
Animo also already with a Valkyrie, about 22% above Kelix, so Excelsior are going to feel good as they defend this point. from the next attack coming on through. Mistakes working his way up to that EMP, so no swaps yet from Boston. Maybe a bit hard to get a good EMP with the cover in the middle. This pillar here, the bell tower in the middle outside, as well as a pretty easy way to get outside of the control point itself.
Yeah, I feel like this is one of those maps where you see EMP just to get the kill on the Zenyatta, you know?
I like it better on Well, to be honest, the Sombra.
Totally agree with you. Yeah, mistakes. He's going around the back. You can tell he's kind of looking for the opportunity. Taking Jonak out is kind of like taking a DPS out, too. So it's bigger than killing the Zenyatta on most kills. Nice hack into the D-Mech onto Mecco, at least. Pine trying to cover with the Deadeye. People not showing themselves, though. Mecco down, drop to that Pulse Bomb from Striker. And Boston flips it back, 44% for New York. New York going right back in there. Animo gets a res onto Mecco. Get back into the mech. Pine under a lot of threat, though. Gamsu takes him down. And Boston Uprising not giving the point up without a fight. Not quite yet.
The tanks are still coming down. They use the Primal Rage and the Self-Destruct. Sabielby has to wait on the outside. So he is zoned out. Gamsu in trouble.
Yeah, he didn't have enough health back. Couldn't get the health back in time. They still are building that control percent. New York just getting to regroup a little bit. Mecco gets D-Mech. Mistakes has been really annoying in the back lines of this fight, actually. Hasn't been directly engaging, but he's just been harassing really effectively, and that's helped Boston control the point, keep controlling it.
Yeah, the really big thing for mistakes there was the hack onto Mecco, followed up by the EMP onto both of the New York DPS.
Right.
So he was the big difference maker for the Uprising in that fight.
And that's going to be something that's going to be more and more important as the season goes on for these guys. Sombras is most played right now in the league, and I think they're going to be relying on it a lot. Sabielby gets an Echo, Pine gets Kellex, both supports down for Boston. They're in big trouble here. New York coming in with a large advantage. Oh, but not anymore as Pine and Jonak go down, and Animo separated from the rest of the team for the moment. Goes for the big res onto Jonak, gets him back up again. And with the kills from Sabielby, it looks like New York will be able to flip it.
Sabielby mowing down Gamsu and Striker on the retreat. Counterplay there, but that is a nice headshot. Animo is probably not going to want to try and take that one in the open for a resurrect, so they're going to have to wait for Sabielby to respawn.
Boston coming back in. Mistakes has that EMP again. 80% nearly for them. Mono, a lot of damage onto him, but he's got plenty of healing. Pine with just another zoning Deadeye to just keep people away, build up some more percent. And back around the other side. Oh, Kellex getting really low, and there's a kill. Mono finds it, gonna go Primal Rage immediately, and he's gonna send Mecco flying. Goodbye. Great ult from Mono. Pine gets the kill onto Mistakes, and yeah, Boston's not taking it this time.
Yeah, they have to reset instantly. That's a good call from Boston. They know if they don't do that, there's no chance they get back in time. They saw the Transcendence to use here, as well as nearly the Valkyrie, but they probably have to pop Trance just to get to the point. Gamsu used Primal Rage to get to the point.
Yep. Tried to get in, hopping through the air.
He couldn't get there.
He couldn't get there. What? And New York just gonna take Ilios like that.
He hit the outside of the building instead of getting to the doorway, and that fraction of a second is enough to give New York the win.
That is a real bummer for Boston. He looked like he was gonna make it there. I mean, it was a bit of desperation anyway, but that one could have been a bit closer. Either way, New York takes the lead in the series up 2-1. Pine looking good on Ruins, the whole team looking good on Lighthouse, and they will take the lead. So, quick break, and when we come back, map number 4, we'll see if Boston can get the tie, force at map 5, or if New York takes it. We'll see you then.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile, America's best unlimited network. Omened by HP, the official PC and display of the Overwatch League. And by Intel, the official computer processor of the Overwatch League.
welcome back, Blizzard Arena. NYXL is currently up 2-1, but at the end of halftime, I got to talk to the Boston Uprising coach, Huck. And we chatted a little bit about the expectation from his team with the recent changes in their rosters coming into this match about the juggernaut that is New York. And he said, obviously, going into a match like that, they always think they're standing a fighting chance. You have to come in with a positive attitude. And they did win Volskaya. They know they're very good at 2CP maps. Also, Bren knows that, apparently, according to everything he says on the desk after they win the match. And yeah, he then continued to telling me that they were very happy that they also made it close on Numbani. They didn't win Numbani, but it showed them that actually they managed to improve on their weaknesses while keeping their strength. And that is a very good thing to look forward for the rest of this very stage. Let's see if they can tie up the series. Any Boston fans in here? All right, we got a few. So they're hoping for the best. Let's see if they can make it happen on map number 4.
Well, we will find out. Thanks, Zoe. We're going to go to Junkertown, and you know what? Yeah, what are you laughing about?
I like how Zoe looks like she came from a nightclub in 1984 right now.
That's a cool shirt.
It's a cool shirt.
I think I could pull that shirt off.
I would love to see it. We'll get it for you next
Maybe.
Noah.
Maybe we'll find out. Who knows? There's always tomorrow. Well, guys, I would agree with President Huck in that Boston has performed extremely well today, despite playing against the best team in the league, despite playing under a circumstance of pretty extreme adversity for the team and for the organization. It's been a good day for these guys, win or lose from here on out. As you can see, Libero and Arc coming back in for New York as we look ahead towards Junkertown.
Yeah, not a surprise. And,
Nope.
you know, as Zoe was saying in our conversation with Huck, Numbani traditionally has not been a good map for Boston. So for them to make it that close, I think really does show a lot of improvement.
Yeah.
And we're going to move into Junkertown, which has been a great map for the Excelsior, 5-2 overall. And one of the reasons why they're so strong is, of course, not only do they have some strong Widowmaker play, but they're probably the best team in the league at the Orisa Roadhog combo. They're very good at getting the halt-hook combinations and making sure they pull people out from cover, coordinated around using those two abilities. So keep an eye out for that here, as they will most likely play that on both attack and defense.
Indeed, Junkertown can be a bit of an odd map. We've seen a lot of interesting stuff on attack. Jaehong on the Mei. We've seen double sniper all over the place. A lot of, like you said, halt-hook combinations with Orisa Roadhog. A lot of teams running that kind of thing. It's a very different map. I like maps like that where you see just like really different play styles than you normally see on most of the other maps. It's always fun.
And are we going to see... I don't think we're going to see that Bastion. It should be the Junkrat from Striker.
Probably.
As more of a standard combination of what Boston runs. Striker has been adding that Junkrat when needed to his hero pool.
Kelix on the Hanzo, probably just going to be checking one of the houses with that Sonic Arrow to start things off, just to kind of pinpoint where New York is setting up when the gates open.
Yeah, you never know about the Hanzo, but you wouldn't see, of course, a zero support combination. It's usually the Bastion with the double snipers, or you'll see a single sniper with the Roadhog.
Yep, here we go. Mistakes back on the Widowmaker as well. The performance on Ilios not up to what I think he was hoping. Let's see if he can kick it up a notch here on Junkertown as Boston goes on the attack, a map they must win to stay alive in the series and try to force that tiebreaker map 5.
Falling back will be the New York XL right to the primary choke point where all of these halt hook combos typically happen. And it's going to be Libero finding a mine onto Mistakes, forcing the resurrection early.
Yeah, that's right. Kelix is going to do the reds. No shock there. Meko just working on that Orisa shield as the payload moves forward. Here's Striker taking a lot of damage, backs away. New York getting shoved back by this Junkrat damage, but they need to worry about the damage coming in from behind. See if he'll be sneaking back there, and yeah, Striker was ready for him. He knew that Widowmaker would be coming around the corner.
Doesn't matter where the Widow is. Hook now onto Note. He barely gets demec'd. Last shot from Meko.
Yeah, that works. Oh, a bit of aggression comes in as well from Striker. Meko, oh, the hook. What a connect, but Meko went down. That was a very close call for Neko there. Boston still coming through. Gamsu gets rezzed. Hook misses. Mono trying to survive here. Oh, and Libero gets a double kill on the Junkrat before Striker finishes him off.
With the mini Diva, Doa, and the Orisa down, there's basically no way to stop the damage coming in onto the Boston Uprising. So tough situation. Spent a long time with Node in that mini Diva, and once the kill onto the Orisa also occurs, it's cleanup time for the NYXL.
It feels so bad too when you get held at this point. It can be annoying to get back to the point sometimes. There's a hook on the Neko. Gets out just in time, takes a breather for that damage reduction. That comes up big there, keeps him alive. Boston's still pushing forward here. Kellex sitting on that Valkyrie. See if they use it to finish point A. They do get Mono and Jonak. Good start. And now Neko pops a whole hog. They want to try to secure this first point. Rez comes in onto Jonak, so it's back to a 5v6. They're going to pop the Transcendence right away. Arc into Valkyrie. Now Libero coming in with the tire. Didn't get the kill onto Striker, though. The tire was just around the corner, it looked like. Oh, Libero
gets Striker and the Riptire at the end. That was some crazy mind games that were happening. Riptire killed by Striker, and then Libero returning in kind, but also with the Junkrat kill. It's not gonna matter in the end, though. Only Sabielby and Mono here.
Yep,
and that'll be point A completed for the Uprising.
Boston barely ground their way through it. 4 minutes to get through point B now. Nearly got the infra site with mistakes. So it worked. They pushed through that pretty smoothly. Only got stopped once. Now point B. So New York getting plenty of time to set up defensively with me. Whoa, and Sabi will be going to give his team a bit more time here with that kill on mistakes. The res comes in, but now it's going to be unavailable for a little while for Boston.
Infra site from mistakes will give them an opportunity.
Oh man, that was such a good hook. Oh, Neko was robbed.
Broken by that line of sight. Not the old Roadhog hook anymore, Noah.
No, that was a good setup, though. I mean, Neko did the sneaky Roadhog thing like he should. That's a bummer. Either way, he puts enough pressure on to kind of break up that high ground defense from New York, so it turns out okay. Jonak coming in. They get the Transcendence as Arc falls. Jonak just trying to keep his team alive until Arc gets back.
And Jonak not going to survive through the self-destruct, so
That's
now...
not going to work out, no.
Boston continues to push forward, and in spite of that time you referred to where New York had a chance to set up, they weren't really able to stop the payload at all, principally because Striker got a kill onto Arc, and that pick really quickly snowballed into having to use a Transcendence on the point itself and stall out with a lot of other ultimates. Libero still on this Junkrat, has the Riptire, may switch off after his next death into potentially a Genji here.
I'd say it's pretty reasonable. Possibly the Tracer, you never know. Genji definitely quite good on point C here. But if you're close to that Riptire, you know, we know what that ultimate can do. It's worth sticking around for. Libero's gonna send his Riptire into Boston now, and oh, it's a good one. Striker down. Gamsu nearly taken out. Not getting a whole lot of healing here. He's gonna get killed off. Jonak finds a kill on him there, and New York gonna force Boston back to reset. About 3.5 minutes remaining for those guys.
All right, given where the payload stopped, it does make sense to maintain the Junkrat in the New York composition because you can spam the choke points. Because the payload's not very far into point C, you can maintain this composition. Sabielby now using that infra sight. They're not actually going to post too far forward, though.
Note's super low. He gets demeched right off the bat. That was very quick. For New York, Gamsu taking a lot of damage as well. Dia getting pulled up in the air by the Halt. That payload's still moving, though. New York falling back. Transcendence comes in. They're going to get aggressive here now. Sabielby trying to cover this back line. Striker sends in the Riptire, gets the kill onto Libero. Neko demeched as well. Rez comes in onto Gamsu, and there's a kill from Neko. So Boston putting together a huge fight here. And Arc kind of finds himself on his own. He's going to actually pop the Valkyrie to try to keep Mono alive and delay the payload a bit longer.
It's all about the stall. They still have a primal rage, and they're not actually over on that payload right now. Mono on the flank trying to finish mistakes, which he will do, and then he will guard the body of mistakes to prevent Kellex.
Nice hook from Neko. Has to back away, though. I think that Valkyrie from Arc was worth it.
It did end up being worth it because they were able to finish off mistakes and prevent the resurrection.
I suppose. Striker under pressure. Mono finishes him off. Good dive from him. Sabielby finds Gamsu. Payload stopped. Finally, Boston getting pushed back nearly to spawn. That's going to be a reset. Yeah, goodbye mistakes. That's definitely going to be a situation where you need to make some changes. Striker really close to another Riptire, though, so you'd think they're going to stick with the Junkrat for now.
I think they will. Libero with a Riptire of his own already. They've been getting some good value out of those.
Yep.
To this point. Now they're starting to control the choke points a bit more before they back off. So Orisa Barrier buying some space now, and that's a great kill. Mono is not in a position where he can be resurrected.
Yeah, the respawn advantage is still there for New York, but they're going to have to fight that 5v6 for a moment. Mono back now. He'll be backing away. Oh, nearly gets taken up by the self-destruct. It catches Arc. So he'll be ducking in for a little bit of healing, but that payload getting a lot of distance for the Uprising right now. Another kill from Mistakes on Nemeko. Libero needs a big Riptire here to stall out the momentum. He finds Mistakes. Jonak down. Do they get the res possibly? Do they have the res even right now?
They do.
Yep, there it is. Striker sending in the Riptire, finds Sableby. And that's all kills for Boston. Now it's about handling these respawns. Mono comes in, Neko gets a, oh, he got a drop right on his head. That's two with the self-destruct from Meko. Valkyrie from Kelix just trying to keep his team on it. They can't kill Sableby though, he's too elusive right now, and that's gonna give more time for the respawns to come in from New York. Have they done it? They're so close, and they get it. 23 seconds left. But Boston does finish their attack run.
Nobody on Mistakes means that you just have a Lucio and a Tracer running around the payload. You can't stop him from setting in that withering fire to pick off the remaining people, just trying to keep that payload from heading towards its destination.
The Widow's Kiss.
The Widow's Kiss,
That's
yes.
what it's called.
Making quite a few widows of the New York Excelsior.
That's right.
And this is a big issue for them at the end because they just can't, there's really not a great way to stagger that out or to stick onto the payload. Have to, once you get that advantage with the Widowmaker, it's basically over, just a matter of how much time you can waste.
Speaking of wasting time, that's exactly what Boston is going to want to do here on defense. Here in New York on the attack. They've got to finish the map. Junkertown's one of those maps where you kind of go into it expecting both teams to finish. Generally goes to time bank. But we'll see. It's an opportunity, a big opportunity for Boston to tie up this series if they can hold New York to less than 3 points here on their attack.
Yeah, we are going to see this probably the same style of attack that we saw from Boston, from New York. They also heavily favor the single sniper look with the Roadhog. But they may run Jonak on the Zenyatta. When you have a Zenyatta that outputs as much damage as Jonak does, you can run it in situations where other teams might be more reluctant.
I like putting the trap right on the payload too. That's crafty. Nobody expects it in amongst the treasure.
This is a very forward defense that's going on right now. They're looking for a quick pick.
Bit cheesy. You need to win the fight and then back off fast if you're going to do this.
They're going to fall back eventually, so trap down.
There we go. That looks a bit safer there. They do find the trap. All right, New York getting the payload moving.
It'll be 2-2-2, so no Diva, like we saw from the Boston Uprising on their attack, instead sticking with the double support look.
That's right. Going with the Orisa Roadhog as the tanks got two found early. Oh boy. Oh, and the hook from Kelix. Or on Kelix rather, not from Kelix.
And that's it though. I mean, that's it for this defense. There's no real coming back from that. They killed Gomsu with the Widow shot and then punished the Resurrection as it comes in. Echo still bouncing his blubbery body on the payload, but can only stall a few more seconds. Stakes hoping to find some shots. Kelix in a little bit of danger as he gets pulled aside by that halt.
Yeah, they might try a last-ditch defense here. Note on the Diva now.
Oh, they got Arc.
Stakes down. Yeah, they did find Arc as well, so they're on the payload here. We'll see what the Riptire can do. It finds Jonak. Okay, so Boston getting a bit of a hold here at the end of point A.
Mistakes. The hero they needed. He was just standing in that same spot the whole time, so that's mostly just a positional error from the New York Excelsior. Can't give him an opportunity when you know exactly where he is.
Jonak sends his regards. Let's get back to Kellex for a bit more healing. Boston with a big delay here now on point A. It's going to buy them another 30, 40 seconds.
And New York going to wrap around and try and split mistakes off from the rest of his team.
Nice hook onto Striker, man. Great combo with Mono. Coming out of New York, they're going to get the 6v5 as they go into this one. The hook comes in, but I think line of sight got broken there for Neko. Jonak just sitting on that Transcendence. There's a nice draw in onto Gamsu. He's in trouble. Mistakes down. Sabielby finds a Widow 1v1, and there's the Transcendence in the face of the whole hog. Coming out of Neko and New York, grinding this fight out in a hurry. Kellex running for his life, but Jonak right there. You can run, but you can't hide from this guy.
Oh man. The Mini Diva right after.
His accuracy
Jonak
is so good.
Yeah, we talk about Jonak and how extraordinary he is. He outputs vastly more damage than even the second Zenyatta in the league, Bedoshin.
I mean, he just hits those shots. He's just so good at timing those projectiles. It's a weird projectile to time, and Mistakes finds the kill there, but you know, Jonak kind of getting the last cybernetic lap as the payload rolls through point A.
And he's gonna get resurrected too. Orisa Barrier gives Arc the room. Now Libero looking for targets. Once again, one does get mistakes.
All right, now the Supercharger for Mono. They want to push through point B as fast as they can. Oh, Meko gets brought in though. Supercharger on the Boston side too. Nice Orisa shield blocking the shots from Sabielby. That's going to give Gamsu time to take him down. Self-destruct from Boston just to buy even more time. Jonak gets the kill into Gamsu. New York not quite done with this one yet. Reds comes in. Oh, but Arc completes it, but pays for it with his life, and Sabielby finds himself a bit on his own. He has to back away. They get Libero as well. So New York kind of grasping at straws towards the end there, but they finally have to regroup.
Jonak manages to be the only New York player who escapes. Striker resurrected and narrowly dodges the hook as Meko tries to punish that res. Doesn't end up happening. Infrasight has been used, so Sabielby knows exactly where everyone is. They are aware that this Riptire is coming, but can they shoot it down in time?
From on high, waiting for that Transcendence to be done. It's right about now, and he gets a kill onto Jonak. Good patience from Striker, keeping the tire up and out of range. Whole hog from Neko as they try to push New York back. Here comes a Riptire for Libero. As Junkrat, you're a little bit worried if you're in Whole Hog and it comes in, but he finds Striker instead. New York pushing forward here. There's a hook onto Meko. Not enough follow-up damage to finish him, though. The Reds comes in onto Striker, barely gets that one off before the Orisa shield goes down. Self-destruct, huge! Meko and Arc, great angle from Note to find those kills. Whoa, Sabielby gets a bit of revenge onto Mistakes, but Kellex going Battle Mercy. He's got one, he's got two. And Note with the Bunny Blaster helping out too, sometimes mistaken for Mercy.
Libero still bouncing around on the bottom here as the Junkrat. They take him out last for a great stagger for Boston.
Yep.
Only a minute 40 now for the New York here on point B. Jonak is too far forward potentially, but he's not going to get punished.
Pretty great defense for Boston here. They've got New York down to a minute 30 left in the time bank. And Striker just getting damage boosted by Kellex on the side here, raining damage down onto New York as they try to draw forward here.
Sabielby wants to cut Striker off so he can't come around the backside of their formation.
Well, they did enough damage to Gamsu too that Kellex had to come back and rejoin the main group. Put some healing onto that Orisa. Oh, Mistakes. Big kill onto Jonak there. They're going to try to come through this stairway. That seems dangerous, but they do get Neko, and the res comes in onto Jonak anyway. Riptire incoming.
What's the Mercy? He's going to find Kellex.
Oh, we found him. That Infrasight from Sabielby helping him know exactly where that Mercy was going to be.
That Infrasight was so clutch. Because Jonak died in the open to Mistakes' headshot, the Infrasight was used so that they could force Mistakes not to peek onto the resurrecting Jonak.
True.
And that was the big difference, as well as being able to find the target for the Riptire.
2 minutes for New York Excelsior as they begin point C. Solid hold from Boston, but now here's where it all has to come together if they want to force that map 5. We go into time bank if New York finishes, but I'm sure Boston would like to end it right now.
Maybe he'll be just waiting as Libero does get the kill onto the Supercharger. So Meko going to be the one hiding behind that payload, forcing Boston to walk up on it if they do want to stop the progress. Riptire out for Striker.
Yep, trying to get in the back lines, and he finds nothing as Libero gets it with his own grenade, actually.
Damage
Not
boost
bad.
there.
Great combo to bring in Gamsu. Good finish from Meko there. Boston getting pushed back. They've lost both their tanks already. Another hook. Holds Note in place long enough anyway for Libero to get that one.
Now Meko gonna walk up with his whole hog. Hunting for hooks already. Ark and Jonak left back on the payload to keep it moving. Great positioning, good setup here for the NYXL. They have both support ults, and if they want to finish this map, they basically can't lose this fight.
Pretty much. Boston is ready. Mono gets bounced up again. Here we go, Jonak. Okay, not hooked out of that hole. Whole hog from Meko as they try to put people back, running from the self-destruct now, and he kills from that. No, not quite. Boston scrambling. They've used the Valkyrie too. New York waiting it out. Oh, but they lost Sableby. Mistakes with the big kill there. And now Jonak comes in just at the right time with that Transcendence. Meko nearly fell, but he's got the healing on the tanks. There's the kill onto Gamsu. Big Riptire though. Meko and Ark found by Striker. There's a res on the Neko too. So Mano finds himself more or less on his own. Libero sending out his own Riptire. Transcendence used immediately by Neko.
And the Riptire's not finding anything because Neko's in the trance. Mono has to walk up.
Well, Mistakes got the Riptire too. So now that may be it. Can Meko even get back there? He's trying.
He's on the Soldier. Libero is now dead. Jonak coming back on the Sombra, but this is desperation time.
It's all about those movement abilities. Ark comes in, but he's only a Mercy on his own, and Boston is going to win Junkertown. We are going to map 5.
That is such great improvement from Boston on a map that New York has been solid on.
Yeah, they were 3-3 coming into it. Boston was now 4-3. Lots of improvement from these guys today, actually.
That Riptire made all of the difference at the end for the Boston Uprising. Absolutely huge play by Striker to hold that defense, especially with New York charging down on them with a big ult advantage.
Yeah. Wow. Everybody was worried about Boston Uprising. I mean, they are 2-2 against New York Excelsior right now. I don't think there's anything to be worried out with these guys. We just need to find out how this one ends. And we will find out after a short break when we will go to Oasis for our final tiebreaker control map to see who takes it. Don't go anywhere, guys. The Overwatch League returns right after this.
Diva. Oh, he's bombing. Oh, I'm dead. Oh, Monkey dead. Can you listen me? I don't have press. They have Sombra now. Tracer left. Fine. Nice. Just Tracer. I'm coming. No recall. Luciana. Lucio. Then Lucio. Lucio 1. Lucio. Dead. I'm body blocking Diva. Nice.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Intel, the official computer processor of the Overwatch League. T-Mobile, America's best unlimited network. And by Omen by HP, the official PC and display of the Overwatch League.
Make some noise, boys and girls. It's time to get this party started.
And Boston holding again. They have made this look easy. This is a must-win fight for the NYXL. Wait, no way! And that is how you bounce back.
All right, guys, here we go. Game number 5, Boston Uprising versus a New York Excelsior. An important stat going into this one is that Boston has gone to Game 5 8 times. They have won 6 of those. So Boston overwhelmingly have won when it comes to these tiebreaker scenarios. This is against New York's, though, so this is going to be the toughest one yet for these guys, but they have looked better than ever today.
They have, and they actually lead the league in terms of teams that have gone to Game 5. So
wow,
they've been way up there in these close matches. They have come out 2 or 3 quarters of the time, rather, ahead when push comes to shove on the 5th map of a series. But this is Oasis, and this is a map that has been defined previously by a lot of its Pharah play, although talking to people now, it does seem that a lot of people seem to think that the Pharah-dominated Gardens is much more Sombra Tracer focused these days, because you are kind of in range of the Pharah if you take the high ground to get some of these hacks off. It's a lot of vertical space, but not a lot of horizontal distance that Pharah can get away on that point, so it may shake up the meta overall here on Oasis.
I mean, there's also just a straight up possibility that you dodge Gardens in this best of 3. You know, if you, there's a chance you can just win 2-0 if you do University and City Center, and we are starting with University, so we'll see what happens. But I'd say it's pretty crucial for Boston to win this first point here.
Yes, it is, and Boston will be playing mistakes on the Sombra. New York looking for a pick composition, halt, hook, and the flashbang. Available tools to them. I would love to see Libero play that Hanzo, but I somewhat doubt that's going to be the final selection as it moves over to the Junkrat.
If anybody's going to do it, it's going to be Libero. But yeah, he's going to swap back over to that Junkrat as we get things started. Game number 5, it's a race over to the health pack, and Mistakes is going to win it. Been seeing a lot of teams racing for that one in Contenders Korea, actually, but it was a one-man race this time as New York not running the Sombra.
This is one of the original strategies that when Oasis was released to play the Sombra here. Of course, that was when the EMP was charged off of the health pack, but what it does is, especially with a Winston and a D.Va, gives you a chance to heal on the center of the point and leap back out.
Mistakes sneaking around the back, trying to get that hack onto Jonak. Or just kill him. That works too. Even better. Gets a hack onto Meko instead as Jonak falls. Gamsu with a good follow-up dive there. Boston taking early control at this point. Did I say early control? I meant they're going to get a couple kills, and New York is going to start to push back. They do lose Arc in the end, though. Rez comes in onto note. Boston not out of this one just yet. But New York, yeah, they're definitely not out of this one. What a back-and-forth early battle, but Boston going to get the momentum going. And with that final kill on Amano, it looks like they're going to be able to claim point A, or rather the point.
Yeah, and basically New York there couldn't get over to where the deaths had happened. So a free resurrection in essence for the Boston Uprising, because they're low mobility with this composition. They have to stay behind that Orisa shield, and only 12% gained. New York not really able to follow up on a lot of the initial damage that they had inflicted. And they're going to be setting up in the corner once again and trying to force Boston to come to them.
That's just a pincer attack from Boston. The striker comes in. They get Jonak right away. Mistakes with that early kill. He's nearly got his EMP too. And man, they are crushing New York in this fight. That was not even close.
And they get to save the EMP as well.
Save basically everything. New York using that Valkyrie.
Yeah, New York hasn't even had a chance to use any of their ultimates yet because they've been playing a player down for most of the map, and Boston Uprising is swarming all over their flanks and creating picks.
Yeah, the aggression has been very good out of Boston so far. It's been a lot of support damage and then Gamsu leaping in to finish the kills so far. Gonna grab the high ground for the moment. New York pushing in to try to flip this point. Mistakes looping around the back. He's got the EMP. New York actually flips the point. They're going to start to get some control percent building. Oh, man, and Sabubi finds a flashbang onto Mistakes. They get Kelix as well. That attack not working out at all for Boston. Oh, they do get Meko with the self-destruct, though. Boston holding on as long as they can. And Striker comes in with the pulse bomb. A lot of damage out of that one. No kills, but maybe they can get the follow-up here. Libero sends the tire from spawn to try to turn the fight in their favor. Finds Gamsu. For now, though, New York, you have to remember, they took the point before this fight began, so this has been all control percent for New York throughout this whole brawl.
And this also was a very poor EMP from Mistakes.
Yeah.
He used it on the point, but Mono was the only one that is hacked. And that means that they're not going to have that EMP for the next engagement. Boston drains themselves of all of the ultimates. Same with New York, but they're the ones walking away with the control percent building.
I mean, that's a very disappointing moment for Boston, too, because they kind of just allowed New York to walk on and take it. They weren't able to respond quick enough. And so that was like 40-50% that New York got just in that big fight. Striker down early on this one. New York in good shape with the early pick. They do lose Sabiel B, but they demech Note in the process. Boston trying to flip the point back again. Kellick's a little bit on his own here. He's in trouble, has a Guardian Angel cross. Oh, close call with the hook from Meko, but Libero right there with the trap for Kellick's in the end. The kills come in, though, for Boston. They're not done.
They left Gamsu behind. Gamsu had to go pick up some health packs, but he still makes a difference when he comes around on the flank.
Big difference.
Yeah, big difference at the end. New York vulnerable on the rear, and now they're going to start to change up their composition. They've been having trouble dealing with the increased mobility of this Boston Uprising composition. They've never been able to answer Boston when they come around and attack them on the sides.
Boston has a lot of ultimates to work with, too, coming into this next fight. Boston getting a bit aggressive with the defense. They get Libero early on, Striker. And Mistakes just poking from the side, being very, very patient. Rez comes in. They do bring Libero back into the fight for the moment. There's a big reflect comes through. Oh, Sabiel will be taken down. Striker got him with the pulse bomb. And now Jonak pops that Transcendence. Can they maybe get the Reds? They use the Valkyrie as well. Mistakes. Dragon Blade is out. Meko demeched. Meanwhile, support ultimates used on the Boston side. Everybody throwing everything they can into this fight. And it's Boston coming out on top. New York sending everyone they've got left towards the point, but Boston zoning well. Sabiel B keeps OT going for the moment here. Arc tries, but he can't get there, and that's going to be Boston taking a crucial first point on Oasis.
And now Boston on match point. The only teams to have beaten New York so far are Philadelphia and the London Spitfire. Boston wants to be the third team to accomplish that feat.
Now they are close. On board with Striker here with a bit of a replay, finding this pulse bomb. Nice stick onto Sabiel B there right as he was probably about to pop that Deadeye.
Striker's been playing out of his mind, and you can't
Really
say
has.
enough about this Boston Uprising roster. Win or lose, given the adversity and roster mix-up that they've had to endure this past week, bringing it this close against the top team in the league is such a statement.
And now, City Center. New York trying to tie things up here on Oasis. Boston, a win on this round would win them the match against the best team in the Overwatch League. But first, destroy all the railings. That's right. Die, railings.
All the railings are dead.
There's always more railings, Monty.
Mistakes you can see, using that Sombra in the middle, wants to get back behind them and try and hack right now.
Oh, he does.
Gonna get back and start harassing Jonak. Gamsu already there. He does get hit by a flashbang.
Ooh, gets out. Meanwhile, Sabiel B maybe got clipped by a car there. It was kind of hard to see. Note, demeched. A little bit on his own. Gets hit by Jonak as New York goes back towards the point now. They get Kellick's as well. So Boston kind of getting crushed in this early conflict, and that's going to be New York with control percent building quick.
And that probably goes a lot differently if Jonak actually falls.
Yeah.
That was a quite well executed dive, as you can see Gamsu coming in. Striker already there. Oh, that was so beautiful. Does end up dying to the car, but the double flashbang saving Jonak's life.
That's right, Sabiel B playing in traffic. Not wise. Meko trying to back away, low health, kept alive though by the breather. Damage reduction helping out, but Boston does get the point anyway.
Yeah, Jonak dead, has to walk back and respawn now. Mono will get staggered late, so New York falling all the way back, only 23%. They haven't been able to hold these points for very long, even though they've taken both of them first so far on Oasis.
Yeah, very true. Boston really close to having a lot of ultimates. New York as well, kind of in the same boat, so could be in for a pretty apocalyptic fight here.
I know.
Very shortly.
The world's slowest horse.
pretty
Galloping back to the point.
McCree can't ride it no matter how much we want. Oh, EMP comes in. They manage to dodge it though. Transcendence used by Jonak. Saviel Beat still has that Deadeye ready to go. New York holding strong on the outside of the point. Ready to push in now. Boston didn't use up too many ultimates though. To put that pressure on.
New York used both of their support ults and didn't win the fight.
Nice flashbang, but Note is right there to finish Saviel Beat. Now Boston has that Transcendence. Gamsu though taken out by the whole hog. This is a big ultimate. And now Libero comes in with the Riptire. Note wants that mech back in a hurry. Gonna use the self-destruct to get it back. Doesn't want to give it up. There's a hack on Nemeko. Damage on him as he backs away. Waiting for it to expire. Waiting for those hook opportunities. And there's one. Brings Note in. Boston Uprising still gaining points. Striker down. Good melee from Meko. Gamsu gets a kill into Arc though, so no mercy right now on the New York side. They lose Libero as well. Note DMAC tier. Mistakes coming back to the fight. As we speak, Kellick's down, so New York a chance to flip it. 80% for Boston right now. Meko pulls Gamsu out, uses the Primal Rage. Goodbye mistakes. Meko playing out of his mind at the moment. Well, before his mind is removed from his head by Neko. 2 kills for the Zenyatta there as Boston scrambles to hold the point. They do it. They are at 95.
And Sabioli has to be resurrected just to keep
99.
this map alive, though. A Libero, the first one in, high noon, popped to zone him out.
That's right, into overtime. Boston on the verge of beating New York Excelsior. If they can win this last fight, mistakes forces that Transcendence from Jonak. Oh, and Kellick's down though. Back onto Meko, maybe a chance here for mistakes. There's a big EMP coming in. They get Jonak. Saviel be very low. A kill from Gamsu. Neko helping out. They're pushing New York back. Neko going crazy, and that's going to be Boston. They will defeat the New York Excelsior.
What a statement from the Boston Uprising after everything they've endured this past week. Boston, to come in and win like this is just extraordinary.
Boston is just fine, guys.
They do look just fine, more than fine. Only the third opponent to beat the NYXL.
Well, welcome to the permanent main roster mistakes. What a performance by that guy on the Sombra, on the other picks. To go through this series here, it was a grind, but Boston manages to do it. Manages to get their third win here in stage 3. Wow.
I think a lot of credit due to the Boston Uprising coaching staff.
Absolutely.
To have the depth of this roster, to be able to bounce back and play like this immediately, to retain the spectacular teamwork that has made them one of the top teams in the Overwatch League.
Yeah, we saw this Boston team really make a lot of progress, a lot more than I think a lot of people were expecting in stage 1. They continued that into stage 2. For the most part, and here in stage 3 they really seem to have hit their stride despite losing an important player this week. Mistakes comes in and things look even better than ever. I mean, it just doesn't seem like you can stop these guys right now.
Well, they didn't beat New York before. This is a new high for them.
Absolutely. Well, we've got Zoe down on the floor with an interview with no doubt a pretty happy Boston player. Let's see what he's got to say.
Hello, everyone in the arena. Please give it up for mistakes from the Boston Uprising. They just did it. They have won against the NYXL. So first of all, of course, congratulations to you and your team. I know that surprised a lot of people in here. How about you? Did you see that outcome?
No, to be honest. I would say we didn't expect to win, but in general, we just tried to do what we can at this point. So.
Well, it worked out just fine for you and the whole team. What was the preparation like going up against the juggernaut NYXL?
We did not really have like a lot of time to prepare and basically practice for 3 days. We tried a lot of stuff, so like as you saw, I played a lot of different heroes. So we were not sure what's gonna work, but.
Well, it did work. It did work. 3 days, and then you just casually defeat the top of the leaderboard. Because why not? Boston Uprising can do that. One last question for you. We know that you have let go of one of the main shot callers. How is this responsibility of shot calling now split amongst the teammates?
I think like every person now stepped up. Like everyone calls more, and I try to take responsibility as well because before I did not really was a shot caller, but now I like try to learn it. I think I'm getting better, but it takes time.
Right, well, we can't wait to see what you and the team have in store for us. Thank you so much for joining me here for a quick chat. We're now heading over to the desk to break down the action.
Thank you so much. So one more time, let's hear it for the Boston Uprising. I said it at the half, I want to see a Game 5. They brought it to a Game 5, and they walk away with the victory. Insane stuff, and we got a lot to get through, so let's jump right into it with Ilios here, fellas. This was a New York Excel that was on an 11-match win streak. Pine comes back in. They're looking incredible in control. I thought Boston was on the outs after seeing them lose on this map.
Yeah, and I mean, this was, again, this is New York Excel's best control map, mainly because they've got the big boss himself. And again, you definitely saw him turning up big time. On that first initial round, you can see he had 3 kills over mistakes in this Widow v Widow battle, and ended up basically single-handedly winning that first round. And in the second round here, Boston Uprising tried a different approach. They tried to run mistakes now onto the Sombra. Again, trying to get those hacks, focusing down the tanks and trying to basically ignore Pine, but it still didn't really work to the fullest like they were expecting.
Well, it's like Mistake said, they didn't have a lot of practice, and that's what I think makes this win such a monumental occasion. Very little practice, new kind of roster around, trying to figure out a strategy against #1 team in the league, and you take it down? Like, this just
the whole interview, I love it. It's like,
right?
why did you win? Mistakes is like, I don't know. It's like,
we had 3 days of practice.
3 days of practice. Super impressive stuff all around. Like, honestly, this squad is still showing ridiculous potential. And I always knew they would with Mistakes in, because he's a tried and tested Overwatch player since the earliest days in Contenders. So.
Now, Junkertown wasn't as pretty for New York Excel. It was Boston who walks away with the victory. As we start things off, you got to highlight the play from the Diva. You heard everyone stepping up in communication. It seemed that Note was always in the right position at the right time.
He was, but what interested me in this map were the compositions. It was, for the most part, almost identical. You see at the top right there, the major difference was Neiko not on the Zenyatta as opposed to, or rather being on the Roadhog, and that happened as soon as they cut out of the gates. They see the composition, they decide, let's go with multi-tanks, try to deal with this. And when you're dealing with the Widowmaker and the Junkrat, it becomes a lot harder to die. Sure, they might get their ultimate faster, but you're not going to die on the point, and you can guarantee the inevitability that this map has. So I think that Boston played it pretty smartly.
I was a big fan of it because ultimately Neko realized, when to make the switch from Hog to Zen. And it's when, the final section of the map in particular, when you need those long sight lines, when there's potential there to get picks across the map using the Zenyatta orbs. So, like, I like that they're thinking about it in terms of that kind of depth to it, because it's just one small pick, one small change in the composition, and that's all you need to really unlock the potential that your team has to get a win against New York Excel.
All right, so we saw the victory on Junkertown. We see Game 5 loading up. You see it's on Oasis. What's going through your mind here on the analyst desk?
Well, I'm thinking, like,
where is
my
Pine?
goodness.
First of all, where is Pine?
Pine?
Where is Pine is the first question.
Yeah.
The second one is, how are they going to fare against the Sombra? Because you're most likely going to see Sombra coming out of Boston here. And Boston surprised me because they decided that they were going to take a game plan that they weren't doing at all for the first 4 games, which is just go crazy for Jonak. And they were just diving on him like
What
no
a change in playstyle. Like, because when you see New York running this stationary Orisa composition, right, on both sections of Oasis, not just this initial round, but also the next round as well, instead of running the exact same thing, they switched towards the tail end of that round, where they switched up to the dive, but they were running essentially this Orisa composition, and Boston were like, okay, we're going to go full-on aggressive. Gamsu was trying to go basically disrupt the backlines as much as humanly possible while still staying alive. He was going to leave it up to the rest of Boston to just try and collapse onto them and get the picks they needed, which is what you need to do against that kind of comp.
The really interesting thing is that this map has so many levels and places for the Sombra to be in that you can't really keep track of. And I think we're mentioning how Boston is so good at actually making you look at different directions. You've got Sombra from below or high ground, then you have the Winston and the Tracer plus invisibility. You know, Jonak is Terminator on Zenyatta, but you still can't keep up. You still do die.
Boston was on an insane 6-match win streak. They close out the day with 7 in a row, and it's in big part to their player of the match, sponsored by Omen by HP. It's not Striker. We were thinking Striker, but Gamsu was so clutch. I need someone to go back, watch the VODs today. Tell me, how many times did Gamsu drop below 100 HP and survive? Every single time, I felt like he was going the very distance of his life, brings it back, stays alive, and comes back to pick up 2, often 3 kills.
And what I want to really highlight about Gamsu is the fact that he's come in with a new CPS that he hasn't really played with as much. And so as a main tank, it's your job to maintain the same structure that will allow this DPS to shine. He kept through it. The same Gamsu as before was right then and there, and same Gamsu that keeps winning player of the match.
Played fantastic overall. I think definitely if you're, looking to improve your main tank gameplay and ranked, definitely go back, rewatch this VOD, pay attention to what Gamsu is doing in particular, because the guy is basically a masterclass role on Winston. He utterly outperformed almost everyone in the game.
You got Jonas, you got Mono on top for New York XL,
How
very
weird
strong
is that?
players. But where does Gamsu rank in the big picture now? I know I'm throwing you guys under the bus last second on the final part of this segment. Where do you put Gamsu amongst the other greats like Fissure, Gesture, and more in the league?
100% up there. Top 5. If I was to actually list them out, it's so hard.
Thin it out, but top 5 at the worst.
Top 5 is the cop-out answer. If you want an actual answer, I would honestly say he's on par.
We got no time, man. It's a short
I
segment.
would say he's on par with Gesture and Fissure.
All right, well, we get a great chance to see Gesture a little bit later. Also, Muma from the Houston Outlaws will be playing today. So if you're a main tank out there, keep your eyes on some of the league's best. Our first match of the day was a major upset. Will we get another one? When we return, it's the struggling London Spitfire taking on the Florida Mayhem. We'll be right back.
Wait for it. Gotcha. I'm on fire.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Sour Patch Kids. Sour, sweet, gone.